Hello, everybody.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi.
are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can.
I
Just,
pushed the start or the video thing, but you can't see my face.
oh, that's so sad. They might want to see your face.
All I can see is a camera.
That's all right. I just realized like how rusty I am on the whole Zoom thing when you are in person and you don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of awesome. Hang on 1 second. First. We just like finished the other one at 5 on the dot, so I'm hopping in between. Trying to make your changes. All right, welcome third grade parents. Okay. Admit. Got a couple other people I'm gonna let in. Do we have anyone new to our school? No. Old timers? Okay. So here is the deal. Miss Dida is here online and we're gonna move through some of these slides pretty fast. Most of you are familiar with our school. You're familiar with drop-off procedures, some of our community outreach. So if you have a question, just stop, put something in the chat. Feel free to do that, but a lot of this is just going to be repetitive and we don't want to bore you to death. So moving on to our slideshow. Dun, dun, dun. Everybody can hear okay, we're good?
Echoing. When I'm talking, it's echoing, and when you're talking, it's echoing.
How about to everyone else? You have 2 people on, so I think that's why I'm going to try to kick one of you out here because I'm going to remove one. I don't know if you have 2. You might have to come back in. Goodbye. Are you still there, Miss Dida?
No. Yes.
Okay.
But no, I can't see the screen. I can only see you. I can't see anybody else.
Perfect.
I can just see you in the right corner. It's blank. It's completely white.
Okay.
This happened to me before. Remember when we had our meeting? It was all messed up. They couldn't fix it.
So if you want to do, you can just zoom down to my office, no pun intended, and then we can just do it together. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to start talking while Ms. Dida is coming down here. And we'll start this presentation. So funny. I seriously could not even figure out how to get my presentation going for the last one. All right. Welcome. Thank you for coming. For those of you who don't know or you have not memorized our mission yet, it is up there. Kaleidoscope School provides academic rigor balanced with innovative, hands-on instruction for every child. We cultivate strong relationships with students, families, and communities while facilitating our children's limitless potential. And even though that sounds like a total mouthful, the board worked very hard on that because we really felt like all of those pieces were super, it's gonna be a long half an hour. Super important for our students. You know, it's important to get a great, solid education, but it's also important to be a kid and be a healthy kid and be a productive part of your society. The 5 core values you can read online, but basically as we go through some of the curriculum and the different things we do, it all wraps back to these 5 core values. And I think that's really important. I'm going to talk about the unique learning environments because even for seasoned Kaleidoscope families, even Kelly, who has been around the block, they haven't really had the opportunity to experience our model, how the charter was written, first because of size, second because of COVID. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that just to clarify, because I think that's probably one of the most important things. The character development, we're going to talk about that through our social emotional. inclusive learning environments, just so important that everyone feels welcome and included in all activities and aspects of Kaleidoscope. Meaningful family and community involvement. Hopefully you all are starting to feel as part of the family and you're not just another name or family coming through the drive-through, that you really feel like you're part of the team. Community involvement. We try to do those outreaches for the same reason. We want students to be aware that they're part of a grander community, and they, even as small people, can have a huge impact on giving back. And that academic excellence is part of school, right? We want them to leave our school being educated and having a good foundation in their academics. So talking about the unique learning environments that kind of sets us apart, and many of you have not seen, is next year your second graders will be going into third grade. Depending on the numbers, which we should probably fill 2 classes, is you would have 30 to 32 students in a classroom with 2 teachers. So you still maintain that 15:1, 16:1 ratio. You have 2 classes with 30, I'm Italian, so I talk with my hands. You have 2 classes with 30 to 32 students with 4 teachers, right? So you've got 2 teachers on each side. When you split into reading groups, your child is going to go to one of the 4 teachers, and they're going to go to one of 4 learning styles and achievement grouping. This does not mean that your highest achievement student is always in the top group. Sometimes you have really high achieving students who would much rather work at a slower pace and master things in a different way than a different group. All the groups get the same curriculum. All of the groups learn the same standards. It's the depth and the speed that's a little different. And these groups are fluid. They might start off in a little bit slower group, and then all of a sudden something clicks and they are practicing their math facts and they are feeling confident, and they might move to another group that's better suited for them. But the fantastic thing about this is, as you know, for those of you with multiple children at home or experience, you know, kids are at all different levels, and we want our students to be successful and comfortable when they're in a group. So if you have a student who's coming into third grade who really just started fluently reading in second grade, they still need to work on some skills that perhaps a child who entered kindergarten already reading, first grade was fluent, by second grade, they're really learning about different texts. They're going to need a different group as well. And the students are comfortable in those groups because everyone in the group is kind of at the same level and speed they are. So they don't feel like they have to push themselves or judge themselves against someone else. And then the same goes for the math groups. They'll switch and go to one of those 4 different groupings. The great thing as a parent, I think, is your child isn't stuck with one teacher all year. They have an opportunity to connect with one of 4 different adults, which is great because all of us just have natural abilities. Some of us naturally connect with a certain student. So a certain student who's challenging for me to deal with, or maybe they don't feel comfortable talking to me, maybe Miss Dida does. And so that child can go to Miss Dida and have a little bit different relationships. So it's really fantastic. How that works for science and social studies is, maybe what's one of your topics for science?
Skeletal system.
Right, skeletal system. There you go. So Miss Dida is going to work on the whatever component, the human body or just skeletal?
Well, we have the human, but we did the skeletal and then we did the organs.
Perfect. So Miss Dida will teach about the skeletal system. I'll teach about muscles. Another teacher will talk about this circulatory system. And the kids get to move groups heterogeneously. So it's a lot of movement and just different exposures for the students. Sometimes with social studies, you can't quite do the grouping like that because social studies is very sequential. And if you try to teach something too much out of sequence, it's confusing for the kids. But it's all what's best for kids, and they just modify and adjust for whatever their needs are. But that's kind of something cool. Enough about me, more about you. So we're going to move on, but that is something that is unique and different that I just wanted to make sure that I clarified. And then on this, like on all of these, it obviously is going to differ based on the year.
So this is our daily schedule, and it doesn't go in order. It all depends on our schedule. But for emotional learning, we do 30-minute blocks. And then for ELA, we do 90 minutes, but we split that up. So the first language arts we do in the morning. So we do like 60 minutes. And then we do maybe social emotional learning so they get a little break. And then we go back onto the language arts. And math we do right now in the morning, and that's 60 minutes. That includes the instructional time and then independent work and group work. And then for snack and break, it's 15 minutes, which we do in the morning, usually around 9. Lunchtime is about 30 minutes. And then following lunch, they have recess for 30 minutes. Specials are generally in the morning, around 10:15 this year, and they're 55 minutes. And we have them Monday through Friday. Every day is a different special. And then core knowledge and science, how we do the core knowledge and science is we will focus on maybe science for a couple of weeks. We'll do like a unit, maybe 2 weeks, and then we'll switch off from science to social studies, and that's 60-minute blocks. And exploratorium is 60 minutes, and we use that time to catch up on the work that we didn't complete in the morning, or we might just hone in on a different skill and put children into small groups, depending on what their needs are. If you think, yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
And so like Ms. that might change. So depending on the schedule, they'll always have that snack and break. It's not sequential. They'll have that between ELA and math so that they can have a little bit of a get up and move break, get some snack.
And exploratorium is always at the end of the day.
Yep.
Which is nice.
I'm going to go through this
Yeah,
drop off, pick up. I think you're all familiar with. We are Unity Church. The parking lot is their land, so it's an easement for us. They will be resurfacing it. We have a great relationship with them. They will be asking some of our, taking in some of our suggestions. One of my suggestions is to block the first lane so that cars can't come through to the drive lane. We try to have our teachers kind of park there so that they can't pull through, but just logistical things for us to work on. All right.
Okay, so this is the credo. So Stanford Harmony, this is our SEL, where students learn to recognize and appreciate one another's similarities, differences, while promoting a community environment in and outside of the classroom. I really like Stanford Harmony. I use it a lot in my classroom because sometimes I will notice certain things that students need. And so I will research on Stanford Harmony, a nice lesson that works for them, and it brings them together in a community. Singapore Math generally focuses on fewer topics, but in greater depth. Students don't just, I can't see that, just don't do equations to reach an answer. They learn how the equation works. And what I love about the Singapore Math too, it's not just memorization. It's all hands-on and a lot of mental math. And students really have to think and dig deep into finding the answers. And then Spalding is an explicit and systematic approach to reading and writing. Students learn the 70 phonograms and 29 rules of English language. Students engage in daily practice and application. I really like this program too, because, I was an English teacher, and when I used to teach spelling, it seems like students had to memorize the words, and I like how it's broken up in syllables and students really learn how they sound out the words. And I think it's very helpful. And also honing in on those phonograms for the sounds of the letters and that. So the core knowledge in social studies and science, that puts the knowledge at the heart of schooling through specific and sequence excellence and equity and starting early.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Do you want to go into depth with that one? Holy cow.
So it's really the core knowledge, social studies and science. What we try to do is the hands-on. They have the virtues that they're doing every month, which just ties in that whole community and just being a good person, and the sayings and the poems, but it's really the hands-on. So whether it's gross to you or not, third grade just dissected sheep's eyeballs, and then they also created like a 3D model of an eyeball, and we want that hands-on.
And then we also did for the skeletal and the muscular system, the students laid on a big piece of butcher paper and we traced their bodies. And they built the whole skeletal system and their organs, and it was really fun, and they had a really good time, and it helps them learn. It's not just memorizing things out of a book. I think the hands-on approach is really nice because it helps them really focus and learn and kind of get that whole picture of what's going on.
And they're going to remember. They're going to remember when they do things like that with their peers instead of just a worksheet.
Right.
And then the core virtues, basically, it's just that every classroom is focusing on the same virtue at a little bit different depth. So if the virtue is diligence, they're kind of talking about that in class. What does it mean to be diligent? How is diligence used in this situation? We have quotes. Whoever does a pledge in the morning gives a little quote that ties in with the virtues. So kind of just wraps up that whole approach.
And what I like about that when we do the pledge too, I think the kids are hearing it from other children.
Uh-huh.
So they remember when the teacher's up there saying stuff, I think it hits home more when the kids say it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Here's just a couple different little pictures. If you're part of the social media, you see some different pictures going out. This was before you, right?
Yes.
Ms. Didda came in and really helped us out when we started to grow. Wove right in with our staff, but this was Mr. Ray dressed up as Mr. Fab, which is the reptiles, amphibians, and unit. Just to, once again, when you do things like that or dress up, they're just going to remember learning. They're going to laugh and make a connection. This is some group work. So this was over at Unity. Oops, hi. And just students working together. You see a lot of students working together, talking to each other. They learn honestly better from each other half the time when they engage in conversation than sit and get. So some different examples of that.
Okay, so classroom management discipline, we use the love and logic, which is a philosophy of raising and teaching children, which allows adults to be happier, empowered, and more skilled in their interactions with children. I believe in a lot of positive reinforcement. I think love and logic kind of supports that, where you're building the students up to think positively and redirecting them that way. They learn the best lessons when they're given a task and allowed to make their own choice. At the cost of failure is still small. Children's failures must be coupled with love and empathy from adults, which I think is very important. Classrooms are places where teachers develop healthy, respectful relationships with kids. And I can't read that. And they're really excited about learning. And I find that so to be true because, you know, sometimes kids may not have a bad day, and if you have that positive outreach and you have a respectful relationship and you have a healthy development and environment, I feel like they get turned back around and they can refocus on what's going on in the classroom.
So this is something new because of COVID shut down all of our field trips. Field trips, at least 2 per year, 1 per semester, and we really want it to align to the curriculum, what we're learning. Here's just possible examples, right? You might have the hoop dancers come in if you're working with the Native American unit. You might have an eye and ear doctor come in, planetarium, historians, but something that is going to connect and extend the learning in the classroom to the outside world to make those deep connections. All right. You want to go through standards-based grading? I'll do it.
This is my first doing it, so
yes.
Probably more
so standards-based grading, I'm sure you have experienced a little challenge when you're looking at a report card. I'll speak for myself that generally as a parent, you're used to the A through F grading system. Here's why standards-based grading can be so impactful is, let's look at math. So you see a C for math. Your child got a C in Q2 for math. It doesn't tell you anything about their math. Now they could have had a C because maybe they don't do well with fractions and they need more help on fractions, but everything else they've aced. Well, a C doesn't give you that information. A C tells you they're kind of average on everything. They're not really doing that great in math or not too poorly. But if you have a standards-based grading and you see that they have 3s and they're proficient in all areas of math, except for the standards that have to do with fractions, as a parent, as a teacher, it gives you a much better look into what they need support in, and you can support them in groups for that. That's what I like about it. It is very difficult for the teachers. They have to go through every assignment. Even if you have a test that has 4 different standards on it, they have to go in and look at exactly what the standard is and what the proficiency level was. So it does take a lot of time.
Right, but I like it. This is my first year. That's why it's hard for me to explain it.
Yeah.
But what I do like about it, especially what I'm planning, I'm seeing what standards I'm hitting and which ones I'm not. And so it kind of makes
Accountability.
sense. And also when you're looking at, you get a visual, just like you said, I can see where my kids need the target areas where they need the help more.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So it is a little bit more difficult as a parent to read. We're trying, you'll see through the years, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to get better. I think right now, some of the standards are very difficult to understand. Even as a teacher, we have to talk about, okay, what does this exactly mean to you? What are you exactly looking for? So we'll get better at that, making it more understandable for everyone. You can talk about
Okay.
this.
Okay. So we have a lot of code days here at Kaleidoscope. So it's called School Pride, where your Kaleidoscope shirt and show your spirit. And we have Backwards Day, the day where the world gets turned upside down and inside out, where you show us what you have that's backwards. We have Color Day. I love Color Day because I usually wear black, and so I have to step out of my shell and wear something else. We dress up from head to toe in your favorite colors, as many colors as you can. And then Sports Day is a big one, where you wear your favorite team's apparel, dress up as a player of your favorite sport. That's when I go take a shirt out of my son's closet. Superhero Day, you're calling all heroes, come dressed as your favorite superhero or make one of your own costumes. Crazy Hair Day is always fun. You see how creative you can be with your hair, break the laws of gravity and dimensions. Rock Star Day, rock on, show us what kind of rock star you would be. And Animal Day, we just had recently, right? We dress as your favorite animal or animal print.
And then the other one's supposed to say Hawaiian Day or Luau Day on there. It's fun. The kids love it. I mean, even if it brings a little bit of chaos in the classroom, I think it's worth it because the kids have a great time with it.
Right.
And so do some of the teachers. They do quite well at it. I'm going to zoom through this pretty fast just because we're short on time, but charity and organizations, these could change year to year, but an overview that we like to give back to the community. We like to donate to these different nonprofit organizations and just bring community connection. And then parties, they have the dates on here. Obviously, those are not the dates for next year, but we celebrate birthdays, we celebrate the fall parties. Kids can dress up for Halloween. The winter party. The biggest thing that will be a change is next year we will have the parents back on campus. The parents will be running the parties. The teachers will be going around, interacting, taking pictures. And then the parties can go for the whole grade level, right? So you can have the whole grade level broken up into however many groups, 6, 10 groups, and they can go around to the different fun activities and be a cohesive grade level instead of how it is now where it's so in little cohorts. That is our presentation for the evening. Any questions? Chat, you can put them in the chat. You can take yourself off mute. We can do a little dance with silence. All right, well, we appreciate you coming on.
Yes.
If you have any questions that come up, please feel free to shoot an email to me. I can, if it's something I can't ask, I'll ask the team and get back to you. But thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thank you. And thank you to Miss Dida for giving up her evening here. Now she gets to go home. Thank you, Barbie. All right, bye.